I would define a beginner as someone who knows how to develop their pieces, castle, and control the center. But space advantage, weak squares, weak pawns, those and other more complex ideas are definitely out of their reach. And when we show beginner the Caro-Kann's first move, it might seem like there is no direct fight for the center nor any piece development. The only piece that gets ready to develop is the one that should develop last. And then one discovers that it is actually heavily related to the basic opening principles. Black is preparing d5, which cannot be done immediately since white forces the black queen into the center, developing at her expense. In the Caro-Kann, when d5 is properly supported by c6, the most played moves among beginners are e5 and e takes d5. Playing knight c3 is a bit more complex. It shows that white understands the possible drawbacks of extending with e5, while getting rid of the tension with e takes d5 basically helps black equalize in the center. This becomes more evident after checking the database, where players with around 1000 rating points choose knight c3 in only 20% of the games. Now let's put ourselves in a beginner's shoes and ask, after playing two moves with my pawns, what can I develop? If knight f6, there is going to be an unpleasant e5. And it doesn't seem like there is any other meaningful move to develop a piece. If we'd take on e4, it would more or less force white to respond by recapturing. And eliminating that pawn makes it easier to develop. Now we might be tempted to play e6 to speed up kingside development and castle. However, that pawn blocks one of the bishops. So e6 should only be played after we get our bishop out. In this case, it looks like we can do it right away. Plus, it comes with a tempo. According to the database, it is the most played move by beginners. And I'm underlining this because it seems to come naturally, so it doesn't need to be strictly memorized. Further, the most played move by white is bishop d3, which allows queen takes d4 and black ends up a pawn. And this tells us that delving deep into opening theory isn't necessary. Logical chess can take over, and it's even better to think for yourself to find the best moves rather than just memorizing. In this case, all moves, I would say after 1 c6, seem logical and follow basic opening principles. When it comes to e5, it's extremely popular because many players want to put pressure by squeezing their opponent. Others do it out of instinct, thinking it boosts their chances of pawn promotion. As a beginner with black, you're probably wondering how to continue developing. Normally, you'd want to focus on the king side first, to castle. But that's tricky here. The closest option is e6, but it still blocks your bishop. So why not be smart and get the bishop out first? Even though beginners might not fully get the value of center control and space, after e6 you can explain that black needs more room for their pieces to develop freely. So playing c5 at some point could be a good move. Then you can go for knight e7, planning to play knight e7, and then move it to c6, which clears the e7 square for the bishop. This approach should take care of all black's problems. But even if they only understand as far as playing bishop f5, fine. Beginner will start to understand not to block one piece while developing another. And that guideline can help them achieve a balanced position without having to rely on memorizing moves. By the way, white usually responds with bishop d3 at this point. And that means that after trading on d3, black can follow a simpler development plan. e6, knight e7, knight f5, bishop e7, and castle. Finally, the exchange variation is the simplest for a beginner. They just need to remember the story of the light square bishop. That piece should become active before playing e6, and that's all. Considering the most popular moves at that level, knight f3 and knight c3, we can let beginners follow the guideline of developing knights before bishops, playing, say, knight c6, then knight f6, and only then decide where to place the bishop. Any of these two squares is better than keeping it on c8, of course. And that's really all they need to know. It's really, really basic. The fact that it might turn into an IQP or Carlsbad pawn structure at the beginner level is completely irrelevant. Important is that they can easily develop their pieces and start their middle game plan without having to memorize a single move. It might seem strange, but in my view, given everything discussed, the Caro-Kann has passed the test and is one of the best openings for black against 1e4. The only issue beginners might face with this opening without fully understanding it is the space disadvantage. For that reason, I'd rate it 4 out of 5 stars.